Good evening. My name is Peter Waygang. I'm the Secretary of the Citizens for Direct Democracy. As you all know, we all suffer under a great bureaucracy known as the City of Kawartha Lakes, so I thought it's time that I actually went through this, hoping that I can clarify some of our problems. I've entitled this slideshow as Why Bureaucracies Fail. And fail they do, they fail us at every turn. Before amalgamation, and some of you who are watching this don't know about amalgamation because you're too young, but you must in mind get the idea of a small local municipality council which looked after you very well. Now in those days, every ward would have one of these wonderful people, the secretary there, who did everything for you. This was the multitasking secretary. Get the rent hall, meet the reeve, pay the taxes, fire permits, dog tax, everything that this wonderful person could do. And it was for the people, the one-stop, multitasking, immediate answer, local service. Now, this person here was able to do these things because the number of dog tags, pay taxes, etc. was relatively small. So she could move from one task to each other and she could do it very well. And we miss these kind of people very much. Now what has happened is, here they are. Now these are the wards, and actually there were probably 2 or 3 secretaries in each of these offices in these wards. So they took them over the years, they brought them in to head office in Lindsay, and there they all cluster together. And this is the curse of centralisation. What do you do with them? You've got all these people who, by amalgamation, you have to employ. At this stage, they're all multitasking people, doing a good job, and they've all been brought together. So let's see what we have to do. Okay. Before we do that, we can say, well, what would happen in real life? Well, in real life, if we would take Tim Hortons, which is real life as it gets, if they were to shut down all of the Tim Hortons in Victoria County and bring them into Lindsay and build a huge big building to put them all in, how long do you think Tim Hortons would last? They'd be bankrupt in a week. And if that sounds familiar, it is. Fundamentally, that's what happened to the City of Kawartha Lakes with our now $100 million debt. So, here they are. Here's this group of multitasking people in our offices, all grouped together, all in one big building in Lindsay. And of course, now we have to have somebody to look after it. So here it is, the director. I put him in gold because he has a golden life. Well over $120,000 a year. He, for some reason, or she, needs 2 deputy directors. And now the number of things that these people have to do in any one region, such as finance, is getting big. So now you have to have a special group doing finance, another special group here issuing building permits, and so on. So this is now the structure. We've got all these people in one big building, and this is the structure that we've established to deal with the fact that we have to manage these people. So here they are. These people now, they've been split up into various subsections in order to come under this group here. Now this group here, of course, these are the senior managers in the green group. And one of them has to be even more senior, see, with the red stars. So we now got this hierarchy, the workers, these people, these people, these people. Unfortunately, these group here are no longer multitasking. And the sad truth is that one multitasking person is much better than one person who only can do one thing. And that has gone all the way through the City of Kawartha Lakes, when we used to have snowplow operators who could actually repair their own snowplows. This group up here now, this is the bureaucratic cost. We pay all this money to these people in order to manage people. We don't want to pay people money to manage people. We want to pay people to do work for us. And we all know this. Now, just so that you know that I'm not imagining this sort of great pyramid, well, here is just one of them from the City of Wythe Lakes. This person, actually, you probably can't read it, is the Director of Corporate Services. And then he has, look at them, manager, 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 manager. And underneath these, in ranks, are all the people who come under him. Now, what is interesting is the director gets a box to himself, and the executive assistant gets a box to himself. But down here, and here again, you probably can't see it very well, but in this box here, there are 4 tech people. There are 2 in here and 2 in here. So these 3 boxes actually really are 8. And the whole structure that you'll see in a minute is like this. The bottom parts are all squashed in together. So this is the hierarchy. If we're paying this man a living wage, or this person a living wage, and as you go up, you see why we end up with astronomical salaries for the executives. And they, in fact, don't do the work. I get very cross about this particular group because since we've had the new system at the City of Wythe Lakes, I can't find anything. In particular, I can't find anything which perhaps the City of Wythe Lakes may prefer to be buried. Well, you saw 3 colours on my previous chart, 3 divisions. You know how many there are? There are 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 pyramids within the City of Wythe Lakes, all in the same structure. Somebody at the top, and then managers all the way down to actually some people who see us, the actual citizens, and do something for us. Now, one of the first problems of these bureaucracies, of course, is that you have to take things up the ladders. So if you've got something that needs to be done, and I'm going to give a good example of this shortly. So the request goes in, and it goes up the ladder. Here is somebody else who's more senior than this person, and he loves his more senior position. So he takes the message and makes a few changes. Then it goes up here. We're probably at the manager level here, and the same thing happens, and up to the assistant director, and finally to actually Zeus at the top. And all these people on their rungs of ladder are very, very protective of their positions. So they don't want anybody down here actually making a decision for them. So Zeus, the CAO, actually speaks, and down comes the message back to here. This takes a long time, it's very inefficient, and it's very, very costly. Now this is the example. This is the spring of 2015. And lo and behold, these are the pebbles that should be up here, and they've been pushed here, and I measured this is 16 feet. They were pushed here by the snowplow. And of course I wanted the city to do something about that, and there was exchange of telephone calls and exchange of emails, and so it went on for a while, and eventually I sent an email to the mayor. Here it is. We were assured that in the spring the workers would come and move the pebbles back to where they came from. We were assured. In April, my wife contacted the city staff twice. She pointed out that the pebbles should be removed as soon as possible. Once the grass grows, they will be difficult to see and even more difficult to remove. This is now the case. Their removal will take longer and cost more. I, that's me, will do this work for you at a bargain price of $50. That sum to be used to reduce my taxes. Otherwise, I would appreciate the removal of the pebbles in the immediate future so that I can mow the grass. Well, if I start to mow the grass with any pebbles left in it, they whip across the road, and people driving past don't like that very much, and my lawnmower doesn't like it either. So I attached a photo of what my lawn looks like after being soundly pebbled. So we got a reply from the mayor. Okay, hi Peter, I forward your email to the roads manager. Even the mayor himself has to start going up the ladder. He goes to the roads manager, and then the mayor patiently waits for the response from the roads manager. Time slips by. This is really truly amazing, because prior to amalgamation we had a problem where I lived in the winter. The road down to our properties would get covered in ice and it was very tricky getting out sometimes. I would phone the reeve personally and he would get on to the sanding truck, and the sanding truck would be there probably within the hour to make that road safe. This system we now have, this huge bureaucracy, is appalling. So he thanks me for making me aware of this problem. Every reeve in the previous municipalities would have known about the problem before it even occurred. Then Andy left them. Right. So what is the problem basically with the $50? Well, it's because, again, of the bureaucracy. You see, if they pay me $50, then first of all we got to go to the accounts department. How do they pay me? Do they pay me $12.50 every quarter? From what account does the money come? Where is it registered? Is it legal? Well, for that they go down here. Here is the city solicitor going through the bylaws. Is it permitted to pay one of our taxpayers some money to do some work on our behalf? And if not, we'll have to write a new bylaw if possible, or perhaps we should just reject it. Of course, the employees union is not happy either, because they don't want me doing a job which they could otherwise do. And the senior brass sitting in their offices chew this about. They say, well, we don't want to set a precedent, because if we allow this, we will have people saying, well, I got a pothole outside my property, I will go and fill up that pothole and I will charge you for it. Is that fine? Certainly not. This has taken away our power, and believe you me, for the top brass, power, power, power is everything. Now, this is what actually happened. May the 12th. Along come 3 workmen from the city of Kawartha Lakes. There's a white truck here. There's actually another white truck there. So there's 2 white trucks and 1 wheel loader there. They have shovels. Anybody who's actually got pebbles off their lawns know that shovels are useless. So they shoveled away and they put the pebbles in here, in this bucket. And after scrubbing around for a while, they said, well, that's it, that's the most we can get up. And they left sufficient actually for me to spend about another 2 hours doing the rest myself. So they're about to leave, and I say to them, well, what are you going to do with my pebbles? Please put them here, and then I will rake them out after you've left. And they say, oh, I don't know if we can do that. We have to check. Out comes the telephone, phone call to the head engineer, check for a while. They say, no, the head engineer says we've got to take them away. So this truck disappears off down the road with my pebbles in it. The other 2 guys jump into their white trucks, they're gone. The follow-up was interesting, because I sent an email to the mayor and I said, fundamentally, you've gone away with my pebbles. And it cost me a large sum of money to have that work done, actually. It really did. I said, if you sell my pebbles, I'd like you to give the money to a worthy cause. I never got a reply to that particular email, I must tell you that. Right. So what do you think it cost? Well, I don't know. But I know we had 3 workers, and they probably came from Lindsay, so it's an hour from Lindsay to my place. Do half an hour work, go back again. We got 2 white trucks to be paid for, 1 wheel loader. Very expensive, those big yellow machines, I guess. The roads manager had to put time in this to think about what should happen here. And then somebody's got to schedule it. He's got to organise the 3 workmen and the trucks and so on and so forth. I estimate it must have cost the taxpayer at least $500 to do something which I would have done for $50, which could not be done because of the bureaucracy. So, we come to this conclusion. All bureaucracies are doomed. They're doomed. They're like a ship which is built with a top deck but no bottom deck, and they float it and it sinks. They're very expensive, they're inefficient, and they're unresponsive to people. And that's the main function of government, is to be responsive to people. And they're tied up in a Gordian knot of red tape, regulations, and arbitrary processes. Now, Bureaucracies have only been around a short time, 200 years about. Direct democracy has been around for 2,500 years. And there are lots of scholars, and Milton Friedman is one of them, who have done some great work. This is a very short video here on bureaucracies, and I've put it here so that you can look it up later or go to our website where it will be, and you see him saying the same kind of thing but within the educational context. So, what happens in a bureaucracy is an inevitable consequence of the law of diminishing returns. This is a very strong economic law, and I don't want to go into the mathematics of it, the intersecting curves and so on and so forth, because we already know it, and this is really what it says. It says, too many cooks spoil the broth. My mother used to say that to me when I was in the kitchen, and she would throw me out so she could get on with the cooking. And my wife does exactly the same thing. It's a very old piece of wisdom. It's first mentioned in 1575. It's almost 500 years old. This is what happens when you have bureaucracies. Now, Dilbert and other people write little cartoons on this topic. I like these. They're very colourful. I thought I would share them with you. Here we have 4 cooks stirring away here, poking each other in the eye with the pudding ladles and so on and so forth. This one is well known. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. This is the game plan for the city of Kawartha Lakes, and they follow it to the T. This over here I like, because I've never seen this one before. Fundamentally, under here is a chap, poor devil, with a paddle. And he's got 4 other managers, I guess, shouting at him through megaphones. And up here we have 2 more executives, perhaps directors, pointing the finger of blame at him. Notice that these guys never get blamed for anything. They go on forever. It's these chaps who get chucked overboard. The most fascinating thing, of course, is that we have this man with a big telescope, and he's looking in the opposite direction to which the boat is actually going. A very good analogy to City Kawartha Lakes again. Now, we all know this stuff, and that is why we voted against amalgamation. And the question is, when will council wake up? I don't think they will. I think they will need to be replaced by people who really believe that the rule must be by the people and for the people. Well, if you liked that, or even found it humorous, I would like you to check the like button on the thing and perhaps pass it on to your friends and contribute. And anything else we should say, Steve?
Just thank you for watching.
Oh, Steve, who takes this actually, he says thank you for watching. And John is the other person of our group here who actually changes the slides as we go through it. Thank you very much.